The jury has decided. The Kenya Film Commission is delighted to announce that the shortlisted 20 nominees for the third edition of My Kenya, My Story Mobile Phone Film Competition are out. The public voting process is now open through the Commission's website, www.kenyafilmcommission.com. Voting kicks off from the 17th June to 26th June 2020. Vote and get to know who scoops the top prize of 200,000 Kenya shillings during the award ceremony slated for 30th June 2020. Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya. Capture Africa.
With the extraordinary challenge we face as a nation, we find ourselves in a predicament, a situation that finds us adjusting to a new world order. Staying at home to protect ourselves and the ones we love. Ultimately meaning that we have empty streets, many closed doors, and limited movement. Yet, it's in times like these that the Kenyan spirit of resilience, unity, and resolve has in the past come to life and emboldened us as a people. Even now, amid the uncertainty and gloom, there is hope. Hope that together we will overcome this challenge and rise again as a nation. And when we do, the magic of Kenya will be here to take us on a thrilling adventure. We will once again do what we love, take to our sunny beaches to revitalize, and we will once again go back to having unforgettable safaris. Without a doubt, we will be back to creating memories together over good food and company, hanging out with friends as we cheer on our favorite teams, and taking a break from the everyday hustle at the park or even with just a good night out. Together, we will overcome this moment, and we will be back to doing all the things we love doing most. Magical Kenya. The magic awaits.
Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19. Hao ni kama watu ambao wanaishi na magonjwa kama vile virusi vya HIV, kansa, TB, kisukari, miongoni mwa magonjwa mengine. Lazima wazingatie matibabu ili kuboresha kinga mwilini. Lazima wahakikishe wamepata dawa ipasavyo. Tembelea kliniki yako au kituo cha afya kilicho karibu nawe kwa maelezo kamili kuhusu jinsi ya kupata dawa. Pia wasaidie jamaa na rafiki kupata dawa. Dumisha mawasiliano nao na ufuate mwongozo wa kiafya kutoka kwa kituo cha afya ili kujikinga na virusi vya korona. Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia vyanzo vinavyoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza *719#. COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na serikali ya Kenya.
Elgon Thabiti Fertilizers, the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, Cooperatives and partners of the National Farmers Awards congratulate our 2019 winners. The Best Women in Agriculture, Farmer Beth Wairimu Kinuthia. Congratulations. Caroline Mukuhi Mwangi, the Youth in Agriculture Champion. We honor you. Tops in Floriculture, Oserian Development Company and Equinax Horticulture. We are proud of you. To all the winners, we celebrate your valued efforts in feeding the nation and wealth creation. You are our soil heroes.
A very good evening to you. We sure hope that you are keeping safe and have been well this day. Welcome to Business Insight. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, good news for Kenya. The Kenyan nation has secured a seat at the United Nations Security Council with 129 votes. That voting has just ended. We shall be giving you details on that, as well as 213 people, the highest number so far that has been recorded of coronavirus cases, as well as 10 fatalities today, the highest as well. This is the latest from the coronavirus pandemic. 6,024 samples were tested in the past 24 hours rather. 213 people have been confirmed to have coronavirus. We have 106 recoveries, and the bad news, 10 people have lost their lives. Now, since coronavirus was reported in the country, there have been 130,498 samples that have been tested successfully. 4,257 are the confirmed cases, with 1,459 recoveries, and 117 people have lost their lives to the pandemic. Of course, the details of that coronavirus pandemic, as well as the United Security Council seat that Kenya has secured, are coming up. But first, here are the highlights.
Required two-thirds majority, 128. Kenya, 129.
Big win for Kenya as it clinches the UN Security Council seat, garnering 129 votes in the second round of voting.
We have recorded the highest number of positive cases since the pandemic struck in our country. Today we have tested a sample of 6,024, and among these samples we have found 213 positive cases.
213 people test positive for COVID-19. On a day the country recorded 10 fatalities, the highest death toll in a single day. And anxiety over the school calendar amid uncertainties over the coronavirus pandemic. The country.
Let's now get into the bulletin. Now, Kenya has secured a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council after garnering 129 votes against Djibouti's 62 votes. The election was conducted to establish whether the countries would secure a two-thirds majority of votes needed to sit at the UN's most powerful organ after they failed to meet that threshold during Wednesday's election. The winners serve a two-year term in the UN organ, charged with maintaining global peace and security. Now, on matters the COVID-19 pandemic, the country on Thursday recorded the highest number of coronavirus cases after 213 people tested positive for the disease. The latest statistics coming on a day the country registered the highest daily fatalities, with 10 people succumbing to the virus, bringing the total number of deaths resulting from the disease to 117.
The country on Thursday recorded the highest number of coronavirus cases, with 213 people testing positive within a period of 24 hours. The Ministry of Health, however, attributing the high figures to the huge number of samples tested, which stood at 6,024, the highest since the first case was reported.
And this is what has taken us to the three-digit figures of 100 and just above 100. If you look at it in that relationship, this number is not that alarming, because it still translates to about that level we are seeing of about 70 positive tests for every 2,000 tests tested.
The number of fatalities also rose to 117 after 10 more people succumbed to the virus. Out of the 10 new fatalities, one succumbed to the virus at home, with the ministry warning that such trend is likely to continue.
Therefore, home deaths will occur because there may be such individuals who will pick a virus from maybe a family member or somebody visiting the home or somebody they've interacted with. And this person then might very rapidly deteriorate without knowing that is actually the COVID virus.
Usually people who die at home means they're most likely symptomatic and they are shedding the virus in huge quantities. And in the spirit of Africans, as we care for the sick, then that puts the immediate members of the household at risk of transmission of disease.
7 out of the 10 fatalities had pre-existing conditions. 4 had diabetes, 1 hypertension, 1 bone cancer, and another was HIV positive. The total number of confirmed cases in the country now stands at 4,257, with a cumulative number of samples tested to date standing at 130,498. Nairobi is still leading with 136 new cases, Mombasa 32, Kajiado 13, Kiambu 7, Busia 5, Nakuru and Machakos recorded 4 cases each, while Garissa and Isiolo recorded 3 new cases each.
This requires serious soul searching by residents of these estates on what it is that they are not doing right.
106 people were also discharged after making full recovery, bringing the total number of those who have recovered to 1,459. The fight against coronavirus received a boost after Base Titanium and Stanbic Bank donated 1,344 COVID-19 test kits and 192 high-flow nasal oxygen therapy devices that are worth 147 million shillings to the Ministry of Health.
Now, the government has sustained its rallying call for all Kenyans to observe guidelines rolled out to contain the spread of COVID-19. While expressing confidence that the fight against the contagion will be won, Deputy President William Ruto has called on the country's development partners to step forward and boost ongoing efforts to flatten the curve.
While launching an empowerment program targeting 5,000 youths living in Nairobi's informal settlements, the Deputy President William Ruto said the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted businesses, resulting in massive job loss, leaving many in devastation. He said even though the government had come up with a 57 billion shilling stimulus package to cushion the economy from the crisis, more needed to be done.
Hustle ya watu wengi, wafanyabiashara, hoteli zimefungwa, kioski zimefungwa, bodaboda hakuna kazi, watu wa matatu makanga hawana kazi, na tuko na matatizo katika kila sehemu. Na ndio sababu kama serikali tukiongozwa na rais, muliona juzi ilitangazwa ya kwamba tutakuwa na stimulus program ama mpango maalum ya kujaribu kuokoa biashara zetu, sekta mbalimbali ambazo zimepatikana na matatizo kufuatana na janga hili la coronavirus.
In the meantime, Trans Nzoia County health workers have vowed to down tools over a 1-month salary delay. The frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19 said they will be forced to terminate services owing to economic hardships occasioned by lack of pay. Led by Trans Nzoia Kenya National Union of Nurses Secretary Willie Sifuna, the group called on Area Governor Patrick Kaemba to prioritize the welfare of healthcare providers in the region who have made sacrifices during this period of crisis.
We are saying that by Monday, if money will be not paid by tomorrow, we are going to advise our members also to work from home. Because it is ironical that the people who are on the ground working are not being paid, and those who are working from home are being paid.
Beatrice Getonyenge-Tich, Channel 1 News.
Candidates preparing to sit for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education and Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations this year may be assessed in 2021. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, who appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19, says the government is monitoring and weighing options over the resumption of learning in the country's schools, saying his ministry could be forced to merge the 2020 exams with those taking place in 2021 if the government decides not to reopen schools for the administration of the exams by April next year.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to ravage the globe, the ripple effect continues to be felt across various sectors. In the education sector, at least 18 million students have been forced to stay out of school as a result of the pandemic, creating uncertainty on when candidates preparing to sit for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education and Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations will undertake them. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, who appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 Thursday, stated that learners may be forced to sit for the national exam next year if the disease prevails. Professor Magoha pointing out that the exams could be deferred to November 2021 if the situation does not allow examiners to administer them by April.
In terms of the new calendar, the government has to consider which is the latest time that we can reopen schools and still do exams. And that process is ongoing. I think within 2 weeks, we should be able to know whether if we open in September, we can do exams sometime, perhaps in April next year. Now, beyond April, it may not be possible to consider or even think of doing exams again.
Senators led by committee chairman in Nairobi, Senator Johnson Sakaja, urging the government to consider writing off the current academic year in light of COVID-19 disruptions.
Isn't it better for us to just say, instead of, we keep kicking the can down the road, saying it'll be September, then candidates become anxious, they start, thinking exams are happening, for us to say that we will possibly properly be able to reopen in 2021,
Meanwhile, Magoha is seeking to have all pornographic sites blocked from being accessed in the country. Speaking in Nakuru, Magoha said the move would protect children from harmful content.
I am going to lobby the cabinet and by extension His Excellency the President so that they consider changing the law to block information related to pornography from being accessed by all and sundry in this country. I think it is wise and it is proper to call a spade a spade.
This even as Health Principal Secretary Dr. Susan Mochache dismissed a report indicating that there have been 3,964 teenage girls below the age of 19 who have fallen pregnant from January to June this year. Dr. Mochache saying the claims do not reflect the reality on the ground as the alleged report is yet to be authenticated.
What we do and continually do is to support communities, particularly now that a lot of children and young people are still within the communities. We use the community health volunteers who continue to engage and raise awareness on some of these issues.
This development coming a day after an alleged report indicated that at least 4,000 girls in Machakos County were pregnant this year. Revelations that have concerned the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization. Chairperson Rahab Moya says the situation will dim the futures of the girls, besides exposing them to sexually transmitted diseases, even as she called on the government to bring the perpetrators to book.
This is totally unacceptable because the success and future of these girls has been curtailed. As a women organization, we condemn this with the strongest terms possible, and those culpable should be dealt with without mercy.
Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua calling on the president to set up a special task force to investigate and give recommendations on how to deal with alleged reports of rise of teenage pregnancies as well as drug abuse in the country.
So I urge the president, take some time, set up a special commission or a task force to study this problem of teenage pregnancies. We cannot continue pretending it is not there. There has to be a cause. Why is it increasing than before?
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
To some political matters now, the Jubilee Party is at liberty to propose new names of members who will occupy National Assembly committee positions relinquished by lawmakers who were kicked out by the ruling outfit. This is after National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi acknowledged receipt of their discharge letters and gave a directive for the now vacant positions to be filled. In a communication to the House, Muturi said the removal of the 16 legislators who were deemed rebellious to the party from the privileged positions was in line with standing orders, which requires the affected party to officially issue communication to the Speaker on expulsion of its members.
Five, the Honorable Dr. Victor Munyaka MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Sports, Culture and Tourism, where he's been serving as the chairperson. 6, the Honorable John Koi Weluke MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. 7, the Honorable Friend Chesebe Kapondi MP stands discharged from the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. 8, the Honorable Dr. Robert Pukose MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Energy, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. 9, the Honorable Alice Wahome MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, where she's been serving as the vice chairperson. 10, the Honorable Joyce Chepkoril Koech MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, where she's been serving as the vice chairperson. 11, the Honorable Khatib Abdallah Mwashetani stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Lands, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. 12, the Honorable Catherine Waruguru MP stands discharged from the Select Committee on Member Services and Facilities, where she's been serving as the vice chairperson. 13, the Honorable James Lomenen Ekomwa MP stands discharged from the Select Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunities, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. 14, the Honorable Liza Chepkoril Chelule MP stands discharged from the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library, where she's been serving as the vice chairperson. 15, the Honorable Cornelis Rem MP stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, where he has been serving as the vice chairperson. And 16, the Honorable Moses Kuria, Head of State Commendation MP, stands discharged from the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing, where he's been serving as the vice chairperson. Honourable members, having perused the documents through which the Jubilee Party transmitted the decision to discharge the said honourable members, I am satisfied that the process leading to the discharge met the requirements set out in Standing Order 176. Accordingly, the discharge of the said members takes effect immediately. Honourable members, the House is invited to note the provisions of the following standing orders. 1. Standing Order number 179, subsection 2, provides, subsection 2, and I quote, whenever a vacancy occurs in the office of chairperson or vice chairperson of a select committee, the clerk shall, within 7 days of the vacancy arising, appoint a place and time for the meeting of the committee to elect the chairperson or vice chairperson. 2. Standing Order 173, subsection 3, provides, and I quote, a vacancy occasioned by resignation or removal of a member from a select committee shall be filled within 14 days of the vacancy. Close the quotes. Honourable members, the affected members, the clerk of the House, are accordingly advised.
Now, Kenya has secured a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council after garnering 129 votes against Djibouti's 62 votes. The election was conducted to establish whether the countries would secure a two-thirds majority of votes needed to sit at the UN's most powerful organ after they failed to meet that threshold during Wednesday's election. The winners serve a 2-year term in the UN organ, charged with maintaining global peace and security.
It is a win for Kenya as it secured a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council, the most powerful UN organ charged with maintaining global peace and security. This is after Nairobi won the second round of the vote, which was conducted without the plenary sessions under restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Kenya won the second round of the voting, securing the highly coveted seat after getting 129 votes against Djibouti's 62 votes. A total of 191 countries were present and voted.
Number of ballot papers, 192. Number of invalid ballots, 1. Number of valid ballots, 191. Abstentions, 0. Number of members present and voting, 191. Required two-thirds majority, 128. Number of votes obtained, Kenya, 129. Djibouti, 62. Having obtained the required two-thirds majority of members present and voting and the greatest number of votes, Kenya is elected a member of the Security Council for a 2-year term, beginning on 1 January 2021.
Kenya had won in the first round after garnering 113 votes against Djibouti's 78, but failed to garner a two-thirds majority of the votes to secure an absolute win, forcing it into a second round of voting. A new member at the UN's top table requires at least two-thirds of the votes from member states before being declared winner, meaning 128 votes should all 193 nations vote. If no one achieves that threshold, two candidates who had the most votes in the first round are subjected to another round of voting. Kenya last held the seat in 1997 to 1998. This win gives Nairobi a comeback chance to be among the 10 non-permanent members who often work alongside the 5 permanent members, Russia, China, United Kingdom, United States and France. This year there are 5 seats on the 15-member body available, with a seat each for Africa, Asia, Latin America, Caribbean and 2 seats for Western Europe. Having obtained two-thirds majority of members present and voting and the greatest numbers of votes, India, Ireland, Mexico and Norway were last evening elected members of the Security Council for a 2-year term beginning 1st January next year. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Achieng Oma.
That is definitely good news for Kenya, and following that win, President Uhuru Kenyatta has welcomed Kenya's resounding victory in today's second round of voting in the elections for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. The president has termed Kenya's win as a demonstration of the country's growing profile and influence in the community of nations as a steadfast and dependable development partner. The head of state thanked Kenya's competitor in the election, the Republic of Djibouti, for being a worthwhile opponent, and the African Union for the endorsement as the continent's flag bearer in the contest. Kenya, the president said, will endeavor to consolidate and voice Africa's position in the Security Council and will advance its 10-point agenda as outlined during the campaign period. That is a statement by the president, just welcoming that win by Kenya to win that seat of the United Nations Security Council. Moving on to other news, a section of MPs drawn from across the political divide have come to the defense of Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia over a planned impeachment process sponsored by Nyali MP Mohamed Ali. The Nyali MP says at least 90 legislators have endorsed the plan that seeks to impeach the Cabinet Secretary over alleged gross violation of the Constitution. But as Kevin Washira reports, some of the lawmakers who signed the petition have now retracted and intend to shoot down the motion once introduced on the floor of the House.
Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia is on the spot over alleged failure to hold public participation of a government policy that seeks to have all cargo landing at the port of Mombasa transported via the standard gauge railway. Nyali MP Mohamed Ali has initiated an impeachment motion against Macharia, saying he's already collected at least 90 signatures required for the motion to be moved on the floor. According to Mohamed, the Transport Cabinet Secretary is curtailing freedom of choice for Kenyans wishing to transport their cargo via road.
Macharia is trying to mobilize members of parliament. Yesterday, he spoke with close to 20 members of parliament from Mombasa, the coast region. Today, he has managed to mobilize in the power of money. A former journalist, whom I won't mention the name, is the one who is carrying the money around and distributing for the attack of Muhammad Ali.
But Muhammad Ali's motion suffered a setback after some of the members who had appended their signatures disowned the motion, saying they were duped into signing it.
Tumeongea na tukakubaliana kwamba yale mambo yote kama Lamu Port ambayo sasa kwa hivi sasa inaelekea kuisha, vile itaweza kuwa ya kusaidia eneo hili letu la Pwani. Kwa hivyo mimi nikiwa kama mjumbe mmoja wanaotoka sehemu ya Pwani, ningelipenda kusema kwamba Waziri Macharia apewe nafasi ya kufanya na kuimplement kazi ile ambayo iko ile ameweza kupewa na Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
There has been a deliberate campaign to destroy the image of CS Macharia, undoubtedly one of the high-performing ministers in this government, a man who has performed exceedingly well. We have seen what he has done for the time that he has been in charge of this docket, and we know for sure that this is a minister who is championing the very, very programs that will define President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy.
Moha kuna watu walipelekea hiyo kitu wa sign, akiwaambia ni Rona anachukua ile ya Pakoso, na moja ni mheshimiwa hapa alisign, hakujua ana sign nini. That's why I'm saying those signatures are fake.
Over 50 MPs from across the political divide defended the transport CS, terming Mohammed's allegations as flimsy.
We members of parliament from Western Kenya, we are not interested in this business of impeaching the CS. The impeachment does not have a constitutional threshold.
We are not here to tarnish the image and the leadership of our well-serving, dedicated officers in the leadership of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
In the petition, the Nyali MP further accuses the Cabinet Secretary of overseeing loss of 1.5 billion shillings from the Housing Fund and overseeing stalled projects amounting to 100 billion shillings. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
All contractors superintending over stalled state-sponsored projects have been put on notice, while disclosing that the government has been forced to reassign some of the projects already in process due to non-completion. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i warned that the state will arrest and prosecute contractors who fail to deliver projects on time. He made the proclamation after complaints from Western Kenya leaders who decried decades of shoddy infrastructural works in the region.
The newly installed National Assembly Majority Chief Whip Emmanuel Wangwe led elected leaders from Western Kenya to a meeting with members of the executive at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to deliberate on matters of development in the region, among other things. The group, that was led by Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, expressed their anger over a trend where projects go unfinished.
Our first agenda was to look at stalled projects. There are quite a number of projects that was started in the past and they are not moving. So we wanted to engage, we have come here to engage the executive to see how these projects can be progressed.
It is here that Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i warned that the Jubilee administration will no longer tolerate rogue contractors.
I have been telling these leaders that I was in Nyandarua on Monday, where a contractor was took up an assignment to do 4.5 kilometers of a road about 4 years ago. I mean, honestly, just tell me how you can do 4.5 kilometers of a road for more than 4 years. And then I asked the Awangao and the police team to look for the contractor and arrest him.
He noted that the state has been forced to reallocate a majority of the projects due to a thriving culture of shoddiness. Matiang'i said there would be no excuse fronted by contractors in regard to non-completion of projects since the National Treasury has been releasing the required funds. On his part, Agriculture CS Peter Munya said that the government has had deliberations on the key value chains affecting Western Kenya's economic sectors of sugar, coffee and cotton.
We are in the final stages of recommending legislative interventions to create a sugar board, to also create a sugar levy fund that will raise money to be plowed into development of the sugar sector, And we are also in the processes of finalizing the instruments of leasing the non-performing government sugar mills to the private sector, and also writing off all the debts that have been accumulated on those mills.
On the issue of floods, the devolution counterpart, Eugene Wamalwa, noted that the issue has been canvassed at length, including the recovery process. Caroline Kamara reporting for Channel 1 News.
To legal matters now, the High Court has suspended a notice issued by Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia requiring all cargo destined for Uganda, Rwanda and South Sudan to be transported by the standard gauge railway for clearance at the Naivasha Inland Container Depot. The suspension coming after activist Okia Omtata filed a petition at the courts terming the directive as a breach of provisions of the Constitution.
The Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure will now have to reconsider notice that made it compulsory for goods destined for Uganda, Rwanda and South Sudan to be transported by SGR to the Naivasha Inland Container Depot beginning 1st of June 2020. This after the High Court suspended the notice after activist Okia Omtata filed a petition questioning the authority of Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia to issue the directive. Okia argues that Macharia does not have a legal basis to issue the notice. Justice Pauline Nyamweya ruled that the judicial review suspends the notice on transit cargo issued on the 22nd of May this year until the matters heard and determined. The Cabinet had made the directive of what it said will reduce interactions along the Northern Corridor and facilitate the containment of COVID-19, saying the government was putting in place mechanisms to ensure smooth clearance of cargo in Naivasha. Meanwhile, police officer Duncan Dema alias Champez, who is accused of allegedly fatally shooting 13-year-old Yasin Moyo, will undergo a mental test before taking plea on Friday. Dema is accused of shooting Yasin, who was watching proceedings from the balcony of their home in Huruma, Nairobi, on March 30th this year upon the commencement of the night curfew.
But we have been informed that the case will not continue today, that plea will be taken tomorrow instead. In the interim, we were told that the officer was taken to Mathare Hospital for mental assessment. So perhaps that is what has caused somewhat a delay since the DPP ordered his arrest.
Kitu ya kwanza ile mina tarajia ni haki tu ifanyike, kwa sababu kupoteza mtoto si kama kupoteza nguo ama pesa. Unaweza poteza kila kitu, mali yote kwa hii dunia, lakini kupoteza mtoto, hata sitaki hata mtu na roho mbaya aje, siwezi mtakia apoteze mtoto wake vile mimi nimempoteza.
Elsewhere, the hearing of the case against Kilifi County Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi is expected to kick off on the 18th to 20th of August 2020, with the Chief Magistrate Adnan Yelot ordering the prosecution to provide the defense team with required documents.
There are allegations that he came into contact with certain people, and one or two of them also have recorded statements, so they may be coming to court to confirm that they came into contact with him and tested positive. So that will be the narrative of the prosecution. Of course, we have our own cards. We can't reveal them now.
The deputy county chief is accused of willfully exposing himself to public at a time when he was allegedly infected with a deadly infectious disease. Finally, the ruling on whether Narok Senator Ledama Olekina will take plea in a case he's accused of fanning tribal hate will be heard on Tuesday. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
Now, on matters coronavirus, contact tracing has been billed as key in containing the spread of COVID-19 disease. But with community transmission and cases outside known transmission chains increasing greatly, how is the country handling contact tracing at the community level?
The thing that we are also doing is engaging our community volunteers in the area of doing contact tracing, and you've seen this working out very well because they are able to do contact tracing. They have been given contact tracing forms where they are able to indicate details of the contacts, people who came in contact with a COVID positive individual. So CHVs have been very, very useful in this area because they know the household, they know the individuals from within their locality. So our surveillance, biggest surveillance program, has been able to make use of community volunteers, and through that we've been able to do very well in regard to contact tracing.
Well, there has been quite some feedback coming in on Kenya winning the United Nations Security Council seat. And Ambassador Monica Juma, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Foreign Affairs, says that today's victory reaffirms the confidence of our beloved continent, Africa, and the world in our ability to contribute to international peace and security. The Council of Governors has also said that this is a historic moment for Kenya, a reminder we are indeed the pride of Africa. That is Wycliffe Oparanya, the chair of the Council of Governors. On Twitter, John Mwega, you say a sterling job indeed, and at Mori, you say sote pamoja. Well, we are taking a quick short break. We will be back with more news.
The Kenya Film Commission is glad to announce that the third edition of My Kenya, My Story mobile phone film competition received over 250 submissions. The call for submissions closed on the 3rd of June 2020. From the submissions, 20 top films will be shortlisted for public voting. You are encouraged to watch and vote for your favorite short film, which will be done via the Kenya Film Commission YouTube platform. The winner of the best short film will walk away with 200,000 Kenya shillings, while the first and the second runners-up will receive 150,000 Kenya shillings and 100,000 Kenya shillings respectively. Voting runs from 17th June 2020 through to 26th June 2020. The winner will be announced on 30th June 2020. Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya. Capture Africa. Top on Channel 1.
Elgon Thabiti Fertilizers, the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, Cooperatives and partners of the National Farmers Awards congratulate our 2019 winners.
Some girl escaped.
This girl was attacked, strangled, buried, and left for dead. And she crawled out of her own grave. She wants to find the guys who did this. I will not let anything happen to you. And I will find this man.
And they will kill you!
To all the winners, we celebrate your valued efforts in feeding the nation and wealth creation. You are our soil heroes.
Jumapili hii ya tarehe 21 kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
It is my prayer today in the mighty name of Jesus. Wewe Mungu amekupatia nafasi ya kunitazama, that you are going to fight and resist the spirit of doubt in your life in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Juzi mimi ninakuja, ninatoka nje, ninawacha simu hapo. Nikirudi kutoka raundi napata 4 miss call ya kutoka kwa bibi. Nikimuuliza ulikuwa unapiga unasema nini? Ananiambia eti alikuwa ananipigia, aniambie nimesahau simu.
Kupata missed call, bonyeza star 811 star 967 hash. Bonyeza star 811 star.
Kumbe bibi ananipenda.
Next on.
Ngoja niulize jamaa, nani hapa hivi amepimwa hivi majuzi?
Pale kwa Mwangi, si ni 10 bob?
Sijasema kupimwa weight. Saa hizi kupimwa HIV ni haraka na ni bure.
Koti la mzee? Eh? Keti pale. Tulia. Mvute kama neketi. Angalia saa. Saa hii. Kukuwa na HIV si eti ni mwisho. Wewe uko nayo? Mimi nilishapima.
Afya bora, maisha bora. Jipime, jiinue.
Majina naitwa Richard Njuki, nachezea Wazalendo Masters. Pia mimi ni mchezaji wa national team. Niko nataka kusema asante kwa government kwa kutukumbuka kwa hii time. Ni ngumu sana kukaa home hivyo. Wametukumbuka kwa hiyo pesa kidogo wametupatia. Niko nataka kusema tu asante.
Welcome back. You are watching Business Insight. Let's now get into the business. Borrowers with active non-performing loans should liaise with their financial institutions to restructure their loans to avoid being listed at the credit reference bureaus after the 6-month grace period offered by the government lapses in September this year. Metropole Group Managing Director Sam Omukoko says despite this directive, borrowers' profiles are still active and there is need for updates to harmonize the credit information systems.
About 16 million borrowers with active loans are being encouraged to update their credit reference bureau profiles by restructuring their loans to accommodate the 6-month loan repayment amnesty offered by the government. Metropole Group Managing Director Sam Omukoko said the directive halting the listing of defaulters by credit reference bureaus due to the slowdown of the economy occasioned by COVID-19 has broken down the credit sharing information system and might affect the financial sector if no proper records are put in place.
The bureau need to be informed that you have agreed with the bank that the facility that they have given you is on deferred payment terms, and therefore we should take cognizant of the fact that there's a period for which you're not going.
Since March this year, when Kenya confirmed the first coronavirus case, lending has declined by 25% due to uncertainties over borrowers' ability to service loans.
Risk point of view, it then becomes a serious challenge for a bank to commit to a new loan when they do not know whether this customer will be there in 2 months or in 3 months to be able to service the loan. And because of lack of that information, what we saw was almost a total freeze on the requests that were coming to the bureau.
Credit reference bureaus are eyeing more collaborations with fintechs to come up with more innovative ways to combat identity theft. Credit reference bureaus have listed about 3.2 million borrowers in Kenya. Benson Dioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And the government is in the final process of developing the national insurance policy, which is expected to guide the growth of the sector. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says the policy is expected to strengthen the Insurance Act in an attempt to upscale underwriting services. Treasury floated the proposed national insurance policy last year and plans to publish the regulations later this year.
The national insurance policy will help support promotion of insurance as a risk management tool, access to insurance services that respond to local challenges, and mobilize financial resources to finance development for financial inclusion and access. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has told industry players that the policy will boost penetration of insurance products, which currently stands at about 3%.
We are confronted with the challenge of dwindling revenue and increasing expenditure demands, particularly to manage and mitigate against the adverse effect of COVID-19. Every sector is affected. The performance of revenue is wanting. And this is a time that we need support.
The industry is dominated by motor vehicle policyholders since it's a legal requirement for any vehicle on the Kenyan roads. Apart from low penetration, the sector is battling cases of fake claims that has made some of the classes perpetual loss makers. Yatani says Treasury is working to have the national insurance policy published before the end of this year. This comes at a time when the industry is bearing the brunt of COVID-19 pandemic that has seen policy numbers drop in the first quarter of this year.
We'll engage them and see where we are going to direct this support, to a particular ministry, to a particular industry, or for undertaking of a particular initiative. According to Insurance Regulatory Authority, insurance premiums fell by more than 800 million shillings during the first 3 months of this year as the pandemic shattered economic activities.
Now, the Kenya Animal Genetic Resource Center is seeking to reduce cost of semen by as much as 60% within the next 5 years. The center has earmarked 1.2 billion shillings in its 5-year strategic plan that will see increased semen production and uptake in the country. Chairman of the center, Geoffrey Kibui, says the strategy will also focus on introducing a variety of animal species to their AI production chain to increase farmers' yields and earnings.
Currently, the country produces slightly over 1 million straws of semen annually against a consumption average of 500,000 straws, with the low uptake blamed on prohibitive cost of the high-quality semen. However, the Kenya Animal Genetic Resource Center says in its 5-year strategic plan, it seeks to bring the cost of semen to an average of 200 shillings from a current high of 500 shillings through partnership with county governments.
And we are happy so far the government has been able to help us to devolve and have substations in all over Kenya.
The resource center is also seeking additional funds to complete construction of the 400 million shillings goat artificial insemination production center at Ahiti Doba in Kirinyaga County, which is first of its kind in Africa.
The farmers in ASO areas, they are going to get a breast artificial insemination in goats. And that the way they are going to get a goat which can be able to produce 8 liters of milk.
This is in addition to a 200 million shillings chicken multiplier that is earmarked to increase production of improved indigenous chicken variety in the country.
The Roadrunner chicken multiplication is they have developed their concept note. They have looked at the funding. It will just take about maybe 200 million and they'll be able to reproduce the Roadrunner chickens, the kienyeji chicken.
Addition of new animal species in the center's AI production chain is aimed at substituting low-yielding animals with hybrids to increase farmers' earnings in the long term.
You have dairy goats, even just 100 of them or 10 of them on the maximum, and you're getting almost 8 liters per day. And goat milk is not cheap, and it's in high demand.
Farmers have been encouraged to visit the center's facilities across the country to procure quality semen at a subsidized rate. Benson Dioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Now, travel and movement restrictions imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19 has seen business in hotels drastically reduce, forcing managers back to the drawing board to re-strategize. Among measures being employed by hoteliers is repurposing their rooms, which are literally idle, into home working spaces or conferencing facilities. Our senior reporter Regina Manyara explores options for the hospitality industry and how to navigate the uncertainties about the future for the tourism industry.
We have asked that wherever possible, those people in offices, those people who are working, should actually try and work at home.
When it comes to working from home, and I believe that this will become the norm. We've seen big corporates like Twitter announcing that some of the staff, all of the staff will now be working from home.
Don't give work actually your best as opposed to if you were in the office. So given a choice right now, I would like a calmer, a more conducive working environment for me to be able to concentrate at work. Because again, your KPIs don't change just because you're at home.
My biggest challenge, I would say, working from home was actually learning to work from home. And it really calls for a lot of discipline. And personally, I have learned to get ready in the morning as if I'm going to work.
Cut-off points and boundaries between my personal life and work. And working from home has definitely blurred those lines. So it's something you have to consciously pay attention to and create the right boundaries.
Clearly, a significant number of Kenyans are finding it difficult to work from home. Has this created a niche that the hotel industry is ready to tap into? To take us through this discussion is none other than the General Manager of Saruva Pan-Afric, Mr. David Gasharu. Welcome and thank you for your time.
Certainly. So let's start from the people we've just described. Yes, they are out there. They are not doing any. They are trying their best to work from home. There are disturbances, and you can't avoid them. When you're with the family, you have to be the family. So when do you isolate time for work, time for family? It calls for a lot of discipline. So we've seen a niche. Let's start from there. But at the same time, we have also seen that by activating, by repurposing our rooms to make them user-friendly to our followers, the customers who have been with us, we are making our staff engaged in creating that environment. We are making the hotel busy, and we are also making sure that the government does not lose an industry. So yes, it's a niche, but also it's covering more than just looking at it from a business point of view.
What does repurposing of these spaces actually mean?
What it means is we don't have customers coming to stay with us, but we have the rooms. As I said, the facility is operating. The investment is there. So what we do with these rooms, we realize that there are challenges working from home, but we can create the same for our customers. They work from the rooms where they can get stable Wi-Fi, they can get water, they can get anything they need. It's all within easy reach. And they can also go to the restaurant and dine, or even dine from the same working space. So we've created those spaces as working spaces. But if they want to stay overnight, the same room can be used for for overnight. So it's using the room just not for accommodation, but as a working space. In addition to this, remember, the restaurants are open, so their customers can come and meet them here. So the same thing they were doing in the office can happen here.
So who is your primary target in this initiative?
First and foremost are those customers who have been with us, our loyal customers, but at the same time, you see, as a business, we are looking for any potential person who, as a guest, who would want to come and use the space. So we are open to all our customers. We've been targeting everyone.
With the current COVID situation, we've had government lay down some measures, issue of social distancing, and the spaces that we need to look out for, and sanitization. Yes. So when you say that you're converting, or rather repurposing the space that you have, the rooms that you have, is there a limitation to the number of people that can be in a room at a certain time?
So one room is one person, but remember, it's a room that can accommodate 2 people. So if 2 people want to meet, they can. But for now, we've purposed it for one person having a working space. If they need to be more, we have conference rooms which you can open for them.
Other than that, do you think that this will keep the hotel doors open, given that we've had a suppressed demand, with the travel restrictions? We do not have conferences as often as we did.
Quite honestly, the industry needs to be vibrant for businesses to be sustained. The running costs of a hotel are enormous. They are huge. So this may not keep us, long enough to survive.
Nairobi has hosted a myriad of successful international conferences. People are now traveling because of COVID-19. Then what does this mean for the MICE industry, given that you are an integral player as a hotelier within the Nairobi CBD? And what impact is the adoption of technology, teleconferencing? We're having interviews on webinar and many other software. How is this going to affect the MICE subsector going forward?
You see, numbers bring in money, but when you are doing it electronically, you may not necessarily be bringing in that income to the country or to the individual businesses. So in the long run, job losses will be there. Businesses will close down for sure, because there are those businesses that depend on the MICE industry, not just the host. Those ones for sure are depending on people. There's something in people coming to a country as opposed to communicating with them, because the only cost of doing business electronically is the cost of that communication, and maybe the cost of preparing the materials, which is minimum. So this is not good for the industry, it's not good for the country.
The current COVID-19 disruptions, from where you sit, what gaps has it, brought forth? What gaps has it shown, especially in the hospitality industry?
Okay, we still pay the 16% like anybody else. Can we lower it for the industry? I know that might be a bit of a challenge, but look at it from the point of view of passing on the benefits to the customer. Right, that's one. Again, also, the kind of taxes that we pay for small licenses which are not necessary. I think that is a problem. But first of all, take care of the customers who are coming in. Make it easy for them to go to the national parks without charging them. We know the national parks have to also survive, but they will not survive if the people are not going there. They will survive as just wild places. But they need, we don't have to tax people so much to go to those parks.
Is the local hospitality industry ready to tap into the domestic market?
We depend too much on tourists from out there. And in reality, when you think of domestic market, we are wicked people. You can have your hotel out there, but it's only up to maybe Saturday, Sunday, when people travel there. The rest of the time they are trying to make their ends meet. They are working. In between, if they want to go for a conference, they would come to the hotels. And now with the limitation of numbers, a hotel like this one was accommodating, the biggest room could accommodate, say, 300. Now by looking at social distance, we are talking about 50 people. We need to have so many of those meetings for that to happen. But you see, everybody has tightened their budgets. So again, the issue of them coming for conferences out here is also a challenge.
Now, July marks the high season for the local hospitality industry, rather the tourism sector in general. What are your plans as a hotelier from where you sit? What are your plans to tap into this high season? It might not be high as we expect, but what are your plans ahead of the high season?
So in Nairobi, we don't have seasons as such. When we have mice, that is when our high season becomes affected positively. So our plan is to keep doing what we are doing, repurposing the hotel, ensuring that we give the best services that we can to the people who are coming here, keep everybody happy, and meet our obligations, pay the taxes from the little that we are getting. And as I said, I wish there's a way of reducing it, and keep going, because until the real travel starts, there might not be anything much to look forward to, but we'll keep on innovating.
So what do you think about the 5.6 billion shillings that have been allocated to the tourism sector, to just as an economic stimulus as the government continues just opening up the economy?
First, we understand the condition we are all in, the government included, but if we are specific on hotels, one hotel can take as much as $1 billion, $2 billion plus to upgrade only. So when you look at that money divided into the number of hotels we have in this country, it's not enough. The only way is to look at the areas where we get hurt by the taxes, by when you want to do, make it easy for us to upgrade slowly. Yeah? But in terms of that money being distributed to the leaders is hardly enough.
Now, we've talked about hotel industry tapping into this niche that is coming up, the issue of repurposing spaces, targeting people who are working from home. Do you think that this is going to catch on in the future?
This is something that will continue. What I see is that social distance will stay for a long time. Obviously, I'm not talking about where people believe that the world is normal, because it's going to change. But for people who purposely want to come to the hotel, the social distance will be there. The new normal will continue for a long time. And people will see this as a new way of doing business. You come to the hotel, you stay there overnight, you still can meet all your customers, and then you go home having done your business. So instead of wondering what to do with a project, you come and do it in the hotel.
Recommendations for the sector post-COVID?
So the recommendation is that we really have to move fast to encourage innovation in this industry. Also innovation in the government, that they know necessity has taken us to a point where we have to think of how we make the locals travel and also make the international customers come back to our country when the world opens. Because that is the only way we will keep away these costs or lower.
David Gashur, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Regina.
Clearly, the hotel industry is evolving with the current COVID issues. But going forward, what does the future hold for Kenya's hotel industry? Jimmy, what's your take going forward for the Kenya's hotel industry?
First of all, thank you, Regina, for this opportunity. These are very extraordinary times that we're facing. Who would have ever thought that the whole world would be in some kind of lockdown? But here we are. And in extraordinary times, hotels have to adapt to the new realities. So the new realities or the new normal will see hotels operating in a very different way. Obviously, areas around hygiene, sanitation, safety are going to be very, very important. Making sure that we rebuild trust and confidence with our staff. We want our staff to feel safe. We want them to enjoy what they're doing, and in the process make sure that they keep our guests happy. We want our guests to enjoy their stay regardless of what the purpose of their stay is, and have a memorable experience with us. Of course, innovation is going to be very, very important. We have to become a lot more innovative. As we've seen during this COVID period, many people have been consuming a lot of online activity. So for us, technology is going to be very, very important, using things like augmented reality, virtual reality, to give our customers a full view of what they're buying, being able to engage with them before the buying process, during the buying process, and thereafter. So obviously there'll be a lot of new measures that will be put in place. Social distancing will be very, very important, around restaurants, around conferencing facilities. But we are ready, we are prepared. Hotels generally have very, very high standards in health, sanitation, and safety, but these will be enhancing measures, deeper cleaning measures, using hospital-grade approved cleaning materials, PPEs in the different areas. So we'll definitely be adapting to the new normal, and that's how we will make sure that we rebuild confidence and trust with our staff and with our customers.
There you have it. If you're finding it difficult to work from home given the current COVID situation, the hotel industry is changing with the times, and they're repurposing their spaces to ensure that you have a safe environment conducive enough to work from. I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1 Business.
Well, thank you, Regina Manyara, for that very detailed report. Indeed, COVID-19 has been a game changer for every industry, including the hospitality industry, as you have seen it. Now, have you been venturing out to exercise since the COVID-19 pandemic hit? Do you now have more time on your hands and are walking, running, or stretching, or even biking more? How will you maintain this health fitness schedule if normal working conditions return post-COVID-19? I spoke to a fitness specialist, and here is what he had to say. Some have turned into couch potatoes, others have turned to fitness.
Hi.
This is a morning family workout at Otieno Ogeda's home.
10, good.
He is a fitness specialist who says since the COVID-19 pandemic, many have been forced to work remotely, which has pushed up the number of people involved in outdoor fitness activities.
COVID-19 in one way or another has really helped most guys, the ordinary person, to appreciate the need to be fit and live a healthy lifestyle.
He says for most of his clients, the office setting made them sit long hours and had no time for workouts. But now the work from home recommendation has presented the opportunity and time to exercise.
Most guys who used to tell me that they can't go run in the morning are actually on the roads. And even in the evening, if you go along Naivasha where I live, you see so many guys doing a lot of runs, which to me is a very impressive thing. And
The same people are, however, supposed to get back to work at some point, and he is concerned that only a third are likely to continue with their fitness activities.
30% of these guys are likely to continue doing this same workout they do in the morning or in the evening, depending on their schedule. If you look at the trend now, most of the guys that I think some of them have been scared by the news they hear about unhealthy living contributing to the suffering of most of the guys who are really going through this pandemic called the COVID-19.
Ogeda says corporates may not realize it, but maintaining a physically fit workforce is beneficial for the company.
A healthy employee is a healthy organization. If a company has healthy staff, the productivity will always go up. So I would urge most corporate owners to ensure that they create time, even if it is time and space, for their employees to be able to execute some of these fitness activities.
What practical options can corporates adopt and maintain for their employees?
Employers should really take this thing positively and ensure that their employees are engaged physically. They can be able to overcome some of these lifestyle illnesses. They say, let us all have a Zoom workout on Saturday every weekend, so that it can also bring the employees together.
In the long run, whether you get back to the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. office setup or continue working remotely, remember your physical health will make you more productive and a better worker.
You have more than 14 hours in a day. If you spend like even 45 minutes of your time in the house, you can do some exercises that can actually contribute positively into your health, which I think is something that I urge everybody, wherever you are, to try as much as possible to emulate that kind of culture that you've been trying to build progressively since the pandemic broke out.
You will also lower the risk of contracting lifestyle diseases. So go out there and exercise.
Stretch the obliques. The other side, you make them straight. See the other side. Now we want.
Well, be sure to exercise more, stretch even inside your house. We now take a quick short break. We'll be back with more.
Top on Channel 1. Elgon Thabiti Fertilizers, the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, Cooperatives and partners of the National Farmers Awards congratulate our 2019 winners.
I knew he was a wolf in sheep clothing.
Way! Sakayo may be short, but he's not a wolf.
I'm talking about Cha. Damn.
But you can just contact the Furiku.
There is no such thing for students. Let me tell you, my people. Tutakula na kukunywa tiaga.
To all the winners, we celebrate your valued efforts in feeding the nation and wealth creation. You are our soil heroes.
People who choose to read their Bible daily, they become wiser and they become stronger than the people who don't read their Bibles. So when you choose hard, difficult things, you become a natural leader. He brings us to church to introduce to us another higher level of relationship that is called a faith relationship. You are also a solution to somebody else's problem. You cannot be the only problem all the time.
Join Pastor Jimmy Masharia on the Master's Touch this Sunday from 8 a.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Bwana naitwa Newa Mitego aka Baba Yaga, wananiita rais wa kitaa. Bwana, Ijumaa hii hapa nitakuwa live kwenye Mashavu live ndani ya Pwani FM na KBC Channel 1. Chochote tunataka kufahamu kupitia kwangu, basi sikiliza, tizama Mashavu live, Pwani FM na KBC Channel 1.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Business Insight. Now, the Ministry of Health's stay-at-home recommendation for workers due to coronavirus pandemic has seen e-commerce grow, with Kenyans preferring to order essential goods online, unlike was the case before. Our reporter, Alan Aoko, had a chat with Jumia Kenya's CEO, Sam Shapat, to explore the effect of the proposed 1.5% digital services tax on adoption of e-commerce, as well as the firm's decision to open up its third-party delivery system to the public. This is how the discussion went.
Welcome. Even as the COVID-19 pandemic ravages the country, we want to look at a specific sector, the digital e-commerce space. And for this, we are joined by Sam Shapat, who is the CEO of Jumia Kenya. Welcome to our outside broadcasting studios.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Jumia.
Straight off the bat, we want to know exactly what is happening with the sector today. We have seen a lot of disruptions, a lot of falling revenues, and so on and so forth. But for you, how has it been navigating through the headwinds of this challenge?
It's been a challenging period for us as well. Firstly, adapting to the COVID-19 way of working, right? And so the first thing we did was we wanted to take care of our people, right? And so we sent people home. The vast majority of our teams are either working from home or working with, COVID-proof safety standards, rolling out PPE, protective gear, then protecting our customers and our vendors. And so making sure that our vendor drop-off points have social distancing. And then we move into what does e-commerce look like over this period? And I think as an industry, it's been, quite exciting on one hand, but a bit mixed also. In many parts of the world, e-commerce is exploding, right? In parts of the world in particular where there's been full lockdown. That hasn't quite happened here. The government's taken many initiatives. We've seen very strong growth in some categories, everyday products, unga, sugar, healthcare products. All of those categories are growing very well, which is quite exciting. On the other hand, we see a slowing down of the online sales of other categories such as televisions, phones, and the sales of restaurants. The sales of restaurants, for example, on Jumia Food, are down quite a lot because the evening meal is out.
Could you perhaps, while speaking about the sudden growth and uptake of these basic essentials, give us perhaps maybe the numbers? By how much has this really gone up as Kenyans stay at home and order for these essentials?
As I say, it's mixed, right? It's mixed because I think, on the categories that I mentioned, the everyday products, 100% growth type thing. Yeah, if you look from a year-on-year perspective, that kind of range. But then other categories are slightly contracting. So the overall industry, overall e-commerce, overall Jumia is doing good, I would say, which in this environment, is not to be taken for granted, right? So it's an industry which is continues to grow in an environment where everything is contracting. And then within that, you see particular areas that are sort of growing very fast.
You spoke about the government support and how things are going right now. How has legislation and policy aided platforms such as yours in, continuing with the continuity even during this time?
Yeah, I think actually, there's been, number one, it's a very difficult situation, I think, for the government. I would not want to be, in the cabinet secretary teams that are trying to work this out. I think it's very difficult, right? Trying to keep the economy going whilst keeping people safe, it's a very difficult situation. So I think that's been quite impressive. We're pleased that e-commerce is being treated as an essential service, so that people can stay home and keep safe and still get access to the food supplies that they need, right? And so I think we're fulfilling as an industry a very important mission in terms of keeping people home and giving them access to what they need. And we're working very closely with government, particularly around, for example, restaurant rules and regulations. So I think overall quite supportive. I think the one flag for me, and I think as an industry overall, is in parallel, being considered an essential service and trying to help people stay safe and keep at home. And on the other side, rolling out sort of digital tax discussions with very, very limited industry engagement is somewhat worrying.
Speaking to that as the chairperson of the e-commerce sector in the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, perhaps you can tell us more about that 1.5% tax that the government now is rolling out. How is it touching the sector now? Yeah, I think so. What's really important is that we accept that KRA needs to generate revenue. That's very clear, and everyone needs to play their part in that. And it's not an easy job they have to do that. We're very clear on that. What we also need to be clear about is that the digital economy is very small today. E-commerce is 1 to 2% of retail in Kenya. So 1 or 2 in every 100 transactions are happening online. That's not very big. Once e-commerce is so big, you have to be online, then you have no choice. Today, it's not that big. And so many sellers would say, I don't want to go online, right? And so if we want to create an environment that can be taxed easily because it's digital, you want to make sure that that environment succeeds and grows. And if you distort the playing field, if you put in place a digital tax that creates a higher cost to the consumer in the digital environment that does not apply to the offline environment, then you're not going to see the economy digitizing. So you say that unfortunately this digital tax will mean passing the cost to the consumer. Yeah. What assurities would be there or incentives for the consumer who wanted to buy that hair dryer or that Jiko that now has gone up a bit? Any assurities at all?
That's the point. I mean, this is going to drive increased costs to consumers. So we're going to slow down growth for the tech hub that is Kenya, for all of our tech businesses, which is going to make them less attractive to investors, which is going to mean they're going to have lower run rates. And many businesses are going to go out of, many businesses are going to go bust, if they have to deal with these disincentives and work even harder to do the job of digitizing the economy. Digitizing the economy is going to be done by the private sector, full stop, right? And if there's no private sector to do that, because there's an unlevel playing field, then that's going to take a very long time to happen.
Well, only time will tell on that space, but turning the ship around and looking into more green festive things, it's almost that time of the year where we have Jumia anniversary. What are your customers looking forward to in this anniversary?
Yeah, no, we're very excited about it. It's our 8th year in Kenya. We are, very proud of how far we've come as Jumia, and thanks to our teams, our customers, our vendors, and it's really a celebration of that. And I think this year's slogan is sort of stronger together, bringing the goods that people need at even better prices. Every shilling counts today. And so a huge range of products that everyone is looking for these days at great prices, continuing to do contactless and cashless delivery, and making it a bit fun as well. I think a lot of people have been sitting at home, cooped up, or a bit of anxious over this period. So we're kind of trying to have a bit of fun with it as well. So we've got quite a lot of fun videos, fun games and stuff to keep people engaged.
For you personally, what is that one thing for the year, this one for the Jumia anniversary, that is totally different from the previous one that you are really excited about?
I'm really excited about the Okoa Jamii sort of initiative that we've got. And this is, again, specifically designed to help people most in need over COVID-19. So we've partnered up with a community organization called Shofco. And customers or companies that want to do their bit can go onto Jumia, can order a family pack, a household pack of dry goods, pay for it online easily, and then Jumia will physically deliver those products to the households most in need in the urban inner city areas. So I'm actually really excited about that, and we hope to use the campaign that kicks off next week to raise awareness of this as well, to encourage other businesses, other individuals to do their part, and we'll be making donations into this as well.
Do you agree then with the assessment that many studies are showing now that companies are more attractive if they have a social impact, even for potential employees? They see that this company has a social impact on the community. I think I want to work for that company. Do you agree with this assessment?
I think our approach to CSR is twofold. I think by and around one theme really, which is by delivering on our core mission, I think we have a huge social impact. We create a lot of jobs. To give you an idea, we have 100 sellers signing up a day on Jumia because it's easy, because we give free training, because there's zero sign-up cost. And we are helping them grow, we are helping create jobs. So by doing our core mission, I think we have a huge amount of social impact. I also think that we are creating a generation of entrepreneurs in Kenya. We have a team of roughly 400 people today. These amazing guys and girls are doing great work, are learning how to scale an early stage tech business. And I think they're going to be the core of a generation of entrepreneurs in Kenya in the years ahead. So I think that's another very big impact that we have. And the third thing I would say that we do, which we're also very excited about, and actually that we've been talking about this morning, is to support local manufacturers. We offer a 50% reduction on our commissions to local manufacturers, people manufacturing in Kenya. And that's our bit towards our way of supporting the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative.
Speaking of innovation as well, what are some of the innovation you see Jumia rolling out in the coming years, if not months? What are some of the exciting innovations that you're bringing into the sector and for the consumer on the ground? Especially, by the way, for those who do not have smartphones, we still have a lot of people who are still using these feature phones. Perhaps they use USSD, perhaps.
That's really interesting. I mean, we've just rolled out two quite big innovations, which are more B2B facing, I would say. So, we've just opened up Jumia Advertising, which is opening up our platform and our data to third-party advertisers. It's growing very quickly. We think we deliver very strong ROI to clients on our platform. And we've also just announced that we're opening up our logistics platform, Jumia Services, to third parties so that people can benefit from our logistics scale today. And we can give more volumes to our logistics partners. So we want to provide more working capital financing to our partners. I'm very keen to launch consumer finance on Jumia so that you can buy a fridge, maybe buy your first fridge and buy it on installments. I think that would help a lot of people. So we're excited about that. We are rolling out more affordable meals on the Jumia food platform. So our sort of Bepoa range. I would love for people to be able to order their 150 shillings, 200 shilling meals on Jumia food. Maybe to pre-order them, but then to get a great quality, very high food safety standards delivered meal, I think would be really exciting and would bring a lot more people into e-commerce if we can do that. And then another thing that we've already started, but I think is particularly relevant for your point around how do you open up e-commerce access to people that don't have the internet? As in, maybe don't have a smartphone or can't afford to regularly use their data, which is a lot of people. And that's where our offline stores, our offline agencies are very exciting. We have about, I was looking at the recent numbers, we have about 400 of these across Kenya now, pickup stations or agencies where customers can go and pick up orders, go and pick up their packages, but also place orders. And our aim is to open up, hundreds of more by the end of the year, so that in key areas on every major street, residential as well as commercial, you can find a place that you can go to ask questions about e-commerce and to place orders without needing to be, a digital native or having, very regular access to the internet.
Perhaps you've talked about third-party logistics. Maybe you could tell our viewers what probably informed that decision. Perhaps you saw something appetizing in the market. What is the uptake, perhaps?
Yeah, I think actually Kenya actually has a relatively sophisticated logistics industry, full stop, and with a lot of innovation in the sector. I think what we want to bring to the table around this is we have a very large asset, right? We have a very large logistics network with, thousands of riders and vans and everything else in it. So we have the asset, we have very good technology around logistics, and we have know-how. And what I think we're particularly well placed to do is to help B2B or B2C clients that want to do, many deliveries to many different areas across the country. For that, I think we're uniquely positioned. We have probably the largest volume of, packages going in different locations. And I think that can be the differentiator. I think we can offer that service at a very low cost because it builds off the scale that we already have for our e-commerce business.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. If there's one thing I've learned from this conversation as well is that we should always strive to, wealth maximize rather than profit maximize. We have been speaking to Sam Shapat, who is the CEO of Jumia Kenya, just talking about the e-commerce space and how we are faring on during this COVID-19 period. Back to you, Betty Kiptum, for the rest of the bulletin.
Let us now do the sport. Kenya Premier League giants AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia have finally landed a 3-year sponsorship deal worth 95 million shillings from new betting firm BetSafe. Champions Gor Mahia will receive 55 million shillings, while AFC Leopards receive 40 million shillings. The two clubs have been in a financial crisis since the withdrawal of betting firm SportPesa, with their players going for months without pay. Before the Kenya Premier League was halted in March because of the coronavirus pandemic, Kogalo were leading the table with 54 points from 23 matches, having won 17 games, drawn 3 and lost 3. Leopards, on their part, having played 22 matches, were on 6th on the table with 40 points accumulated from 11 wins and 7 draws. Internationally, Spanish giants Real Madrid will hope to reduce champions Barcelona's lead on the La Liga standings when they host Valencia tonight at the Estadio Alfredo Di Stefano. Madrid in second on the log with 59 points, 5 points behind Barcelona, with the latter scheduled to play away to Sevilla tomorrow. Here is more La Liga action set for tonight and tomorrow. English Premier League side Chelsea FC has reached an agreement with RB Leipzig to sign a German forward Timo Werner. The 24-year-old has agreed personal terms with the Blues and will remain at the German club for the rest of the Bundesliga season. Werner is expected to link up with his new teammates in July, subject to passing a medical examination. Werner has made a total of 157 appearances for RB Leipzig, scoring 93 goals and making 40 assists, developing into one of Europe's most coveted forwards. Meanwhile, UEFA has advised that the 2020 transfer window should close no later than October 5th. The transfer registration period in a number of European countries has not yet opened due to the delay in finishing the season due to the pandemic. Well, it is on that sporty note that we close Channel 1 Business Insight this evening. Many thanks for joining us and giving us your company, your feedback on Twitter. We duly appreciate it. My name is Betty Kiptum, and Byron Abuli has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. From everyone who has made this broadcast possible, we wish you a lovely night. Bye-bye.
Good evening. Hope you had a beautiful Thursday. This is Channel 1 Weather Report. A very warm welcome. My name is Irene Mchuma Odim. The whole country is currently experiencing partly cloudy conditions, save for a few areas over the Lake Basin region and western parts of the country where there are showers accompanied by thunderstorms, and that is how it will be for the rest of the night. Friday morning, the capital will be cool and cloudy. Equally in Nyeri and Meru, it will rain in Kisii and a few areas around Lodwar. Lamu, Mombasa and Malindi will experience showers, and a total different scenario over the northeastern parts of the country, moving all the way to the southeastern lowlands where there will be sunny conditions. Counties in these regions will experience strong southerly winds of 12.5 meters per second. In the afternoon, the rain intensity will be increased in Kisii, and we're also expecting similar weather conditions in Kakamega, Eldoret, and Bungoma. And then at the coastal strip, wet conditions will also continue around Lodwar and South Sudan. We're expecting showers accompanied by thunderstorms. The capital will experience maximum of 23 degrees Celsius. Lamu, Voi, and Mombasa will experience maximum of 30 degrees Celsius. For you in Mandera, expect the highest temperatures across the country at 34 degrees Celsius. That is your weather here in the home country. Up next is the international forecast. Rain or shine, do have a blessed day.